Yeah, great to meet you, Scott. Great to meet you, Martina. It's great to see everybody. So this week, there's still a few people joining, so I'm just gonna take a second here to let them join. But yeah, welcome to this week's office hours. There's quite a few exciting updates this week that I wanted to go through. Then, as usual, we'll be opening it up to Q&A. But before I get into just showing what the updates are, maybe if we can just go around real quick and just say your name, where you're joining from, what you guys make. That'd be good, just so kind of we can help better. So yeah, Alistair, if you mind getting us started here?
Yeah, I'm Al from Southern Vermont, and I work at Mac Molding. We make plastic injection molded parts, and we also do a lot of contract manufacturing.
Awesome. Great to see you, Al. Scott, you want to go next?
Scott Murphy, I'm the warehouse manager at PFF Piaggio Fast Forward, and we build robots.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's you guys are based out
Charlestown, Mass.
Yeah, right. Great to meet you, Scott. Delroy, do you want to go next?
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Delroy Donaldson. I'm over here at OPEX. We specialize in warehouse automation equipment. So if you need anything, let us know.
Awesome.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. Thanks for joining. Martina, whereabouts are you joining from?
Hi, this is Martina. I joined from Delta Faucet Company. I'm the advanced manufacturing engineer, and I think everybody knows we make all the faucets and kitchen faucet, bathroom stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, very nice to meet you. Which facility do you work at for Delta?
I'm the advanced manufacturing engineer, and our main functions deal with all the Tulip's app development, and we do all the automation stuff for the production.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, very nice to meet you. Welcome to Office Hours. Hetty, do you want to go next?
Hi, sure. I'm Hetty Griggs. I'm also from OPEX Corporation, same as Delroy.
Great, nice to see you, Hetty. Dayami, may have said your name incorrectly, but very nice to meet you.
Diami Davis Spence. I work with Martina over at Delta Faucet Company. We're both in Greensburg, so it's nice to meet you.
Okay, cool. That's where you guys are, and you guys work with Grant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, very nice to meet both of you.
You too.
Great. And then finally, Kristen, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure, I'm Kristen Danson. I'm with Swift Components Corporation. We're way up north in Canada, and we make thermal and acoustic insulators for automotive.
Okay, great. Yeah, nice to see you, Kristen. Okay, so for those of you who are new, like I mentioned earlier, typically office hours, I go through a couple of things, updates from Tulip, the competitions, whatever updates we have, then some interesting posts that were posted in community, and then we open up to Q&A. If you guys have questions on building your apps, either share them at the end or drop them off in the chat, and by the end we'll go over everything. So start sharing my screen real quick. Okay, great. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. So the first thing I wanted to share is the app competition. So we're hosting several app competitions this year. This one is the January one. It's the first one. It's for the opportunity to win some of these clocks. They're pretty cool. They're like kind of light up as the day goes along, depending on kind of. Yeah, I mean this doesn't really show it, but it looks really nice. So we're giving away these to the post that gets the most likes. So there's still 4 days to post your entry. If you have a cool app that you want to share, take some photos, take some screenshots, take a video, and post it up. We already have some entries. Go ahead and take a look here. I'll share here it is, the post in the chat here, and take a look in your own time. But it's good. This one here is actually, I think it's currently in the lead. It's really good. So this is a flower picking company in the United Kingdom, and they use Tulip, like for wide variety of use cases, everything from preparing the labels, shipping the flowers, packaging the flowers and shipping them out. And they have a lot of integrations, and it's a really pretty cool use case. But just wanted to share that, you know, entries are still open. So if you want to submit your entry, just share it on here, and then, you know, again, the one with most likes will win the competition. But of course, we'll be having a lot more of these. So, you know, just keep an eye out. We'll be announcing them in office hours. So join here, and then we'll you can stay up to date on the competitions. Great. The next thing I wanted to share was an update that was released in release number 199. So as you can see here, well, there are many updates, but I think one that was quite important was adding timestamps from HTTP connectors. So whereas before, if you connected to an endpoint via HTTP, it wouldn't be supported, timestamps wouldn't be supported. You'd have to convert it to text and then back to a timestamp, or you'd have to do something. Whereas now they're supported natively. So
Well, he left us on a cliffhanger there.
I can show you. Oh, really? What happened?
Oh, I think you cut out a little bit. Was it just for me?
Oh, no, you're right. It says my
for me.
internet connection isn't stable. Am I back now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we have some timestamps here that are coming back. I'm selecting one of them. And then once we have the timestamp available in our app, we can do whatever we like with it. So in this case, say we're just adding 12, you can see it goes from 14th of October to the 26th. So I just wanted to show this because it's important. You know, if you're either sending or receiving data from an HTTP connector, you then have it in a date time format within Tulip that you can manipulate very easily and just add dates, or, you know, if you need to like run a calculation, say, okay, this work order was created on this date, that means that it's due 1 week later. You can very easily do that using you know, the data manipulation on dates. Good. The next thing, there was a good post this week, actually just 2 days ago, from somebody asking basically, okay, I'm currently working on a table connector, but can't find where to find the prefix that goes along with the table columns. Where do I find that information? So if folks have experience using the tables API, you'll notice that for a lot of the endpoints, you need to enter the column ID. And to get the column ID, you can just use this endpoint here that is posted here, and basically you just enter the instance.tulip.co / API v3 tables, and then the table ID. And then what that returns, as you can see here, is a couple of things, including all the information for a specific table. So if I come in here, I open this up. So, you know, you can see here essentially it's, and sorry, maybe it's a bit messy. I could have cleaned it up a little bit, but you can see we're just getting back for this specific table. And let me just open up the table actually. Okay. I'll just go here into the tables. And so you can see essentially what this is doing. Let me see, let me just open up any random table and then post this in here. So essentially what you can see here, this table, I have a Tulip table, a very normal Tulip table that you're used to seeing that has a bunch of columns. And in this connector function, when I test it out, you'll see that we get some information. So the first thing that we get is the name of the table that shows up all the way up here. And then we get an array of objects that include all the information for all the individual columns. So you can see here, the first one is the ID, and that one, the name, which is the actual ID of the column, and the label are always the same for ID. And then you get all the other columns. So you can see new product. Here it is, new product. And if I come in here and I change this and I say, okay, new product 2, and then I go back into my connector and I test it out again, you'll see that this updates right away to new product 2. So why am I showing this? I'm showing this because it's important to basically, when you want to use a table API, you often have to get the column label, which is also referred to as the column ID. And that's how you get it. So, you can just use this endpoint here, tables, then the table ID, nothing else. And then that gives you, again, the array of all the columns, and then some other information like when it was created, who was created by, the user ID, who was created, and all that. So just wanted to show that because it's an important thing to know when using the table API. Good. The next thing I wanted to show was just some little UI tricks that are pretty useful. People often aren't aware of it, and they can make building apps a lot quicker and a lot simpler. So the first one I want to show is if you have some widgets on your screen and they're kind of all over the place like this, you can select multiple by just selecting all the individual widgets while pressing Shift, so that selects 2 at a time and then 3 at a time. And then you can see once you have multiple selected, you get these options over here to align the items. So the first thing is, let's say you want to align them horizontally. We'll say, okay, let's just get them all aligned to the left. Boom, there we have it. And then we can distribute them. I guess this is horizontal distribution, and you can see it just Tulip automatically kind of separates them out. So if I just move this guy all the way up here, and then I redistribute them, this lines up well like this, and then it just makes it much easier and faster to get everything all nice and lined up. The next thing I wanted to show is adding triggers to images. Oh no, actually, sorry, before I get into that, I do want to show that these buttons, if you see here, they look a little bit different than the buttons that you're probably used to seeing. It's just because you can see we put a border radius of 50. So out of the box, when you create a new button, it comes with a border radius of 4 like this. If then you put in the half of the height, or I guess the constraining size. So I guess what's half of 94 is 40. What is that? I should know that. 48. Yep. So that gives it a nice round border that looks clean and looks professional. So that's just a good thing to bear in mind. Then the next thing I want to show is here you can also add triggers the same way that you add them to buttons to images. So in this case, I just uploaded an image of a Tulip logo. So just uploaded the image from over here, embed image like this, and then use an image logo. And then if you scroll down, so that's why it's a little bit hard to see, but if you see here, if you scroll down, you get several options. Either you can do nothing at all, or you can show the image full screen, or you can add a custom trigger. So if I start with the show image full screen, you see I click on it. Now it's a bit dark, but you can see the Tulip logo here. It just opens it up. So this is useful, like if you need like a reference image, but you don't want it to take up the whole of the real estate on your step, you can just put it in the corner, and then the technician or whoever is using the app can click on it to expand it. But then you can also add custom triggers. So if I come in here, I just clicked on the last option here, custom trigger. And then I'll just add a simple trigger to show error. I'll just say static value 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Click save. And now if I open up the app, you'll see that when I click the image, the message shows up. So again, it works exactly the same way as it does with buttons, but it's pretty cool because you're not kind of constrained to just a button that you can change the size, color, and text to, but you can upload anything you want. So you can upload icons, for example. You can just go to there's all these websites, like what is it called, Favicon or something like that, I think. Yeah, this one here, that like if you want like a refresh button or something like this, you can make your interfaces look really professional, because you can have if you want to send an email on a button, you can just get like a little icon of an email, put that in your app, and then when the email icon is pressed, it sends an email to whoever you'd like. So it's a good way to build clean apps. And then the last thing I wanted to show on here in this section here is with regards to these shortcuts in the app builder. So it's different depending on the operating system that you're using. But you can essentially, and the ones I wanted to focus on are zooming and panning. So in my case, I'm running on Macintosh, so you can see if I hit Option Command and then scroll, it zooms in and out on the app. And then when I hit spacebar and then click and drag, it zooms around. So this is useful, if you're building an app that has a lot of very small icons and whatnot, you can just zoom in and out like this, and it makes building a cleaner interface a lot simpler and just easier, I guess, than like staying there and like trying to like align everything up while you're all the way zoomed out. Okay, are there any questions, by the way, on this? Is there anything that I can clarify? Okay, then the last thing that I wanted to share to get this started here is has to do with storing intervals in table records. So as you can see here, this was actually a couple of weeks ago, but somebody asked, okay, hello, dear community, is there a possibility in Tulip to create different timers and then the user decides when timer will start and end? And then we provided a response, but essentially what this person wanted to do is store this time in a table. So they're asking, okay, maybe through an input number box, and then the number is converted to an interval so that it can be stored in the table as time. So that can be done. And the way that's done, let me just open up the table here. You can see it's a pretty simple table that only has two columns, a column for an ID and then a column for an interval. So interval is one of the field types that's available within tables. So you can see you have text, integer, number, all the ones, and one of them, where to go? Here it is interval. So then once you have that, let me just run the app and demo this for you. I'll say, okay, I'll create a record first of all, and you can see a new record has been created. And then I just say, okay, interval 46 seconds. Oh, why is it not storing it? Oh, there it is. Just take a second. It stores it, say I go back to 12, and then it updates it to 12. Now, the slightly tricky thing is here that if you wanted to store this, actually, before I open up this trigger, I want to show you this here. This input is just a number input type integer. So it's it's not like, because in the inputs you see it's not like you can select the type interval. So you need to select first. You need to select number. You know what? I'll just recreate it here. You need to select the interval, the integer type, and then once you have that, you essentially need to use this little trick that is actually not that complicated once you kind of understand it. But essentially what we're doing is we're getting the current date and time of the app right now, and then subtracting the current date and time minus the integer that the person inputs. And then storing that in the table record in that column interval. So this, I guess here, it's, the only slightly tricky thing is that if you were to put, say, something more than 60 seconds, you put 82 seconds, it's going to go over to 1 minute 22 because it's 60 seconds for a minute plus the 22 seconds. So it's, you kind of have to design it if you need to like collect information that's more than a minute, you just have to like bear that in mind. There's like other ways that you can make it simpler for the user to input information, but that's just one thing that I wanted to bear in mind. If you wanted to like input minutes, you could also do that. You could just very simply in here do all of this, and then at the end just divide it by 60, or should it be? I always get confused. I wonder if it should be divided by 60 or multiplied by 60. Let's see if we do this. Okay, no, it should be the other way around. Should be multiplied by 60, right? Of course. Multiplied by 60, boom, store 82. So now we have the 1 hour and 22 minutes being stored in the table here. Okay, so sorry, there was quite a lot that we covered. Does that make sense to everybody? Are there any questions, anything that you'd like me to expand on these demos? Okay, if not, are there any specific questions that people had? Anything that you've been building in the past week that we can take a look at together that you want to share or get some feedback on? We're happy to do so. Nothing?
This is Martina. I want to ask a question specifically, probably not really related to what are we talking about today, but it's also about timer.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a way that so if we pull out the data from an Excel sheet, which has the theoretical cycle time on the column, and then we want to pick that time into the Tulip and then start counting down?
Interesting. So I don't think I've ever done that. Let's try it out. Let's do it together. So essentially, let me see here. Let me just open up. And are you saying importing it to a table via CSV?
Yes. So
Yeah.
if
Okay.
the table, and then for example, on column D, that is the theoretical cycle time for different part numbers. For instance, part A cycle time should be 10 seconds, part B should be 20 seconds, and part C is like 15 seconds. And we want to know if an operator is working on part A, then we want to just, for the specific page they're working on for the part number, we just grab the cycle time for part A and start in there counting down.
Okay, yeah, so we can do that, but do you want to do it from a Tulip table, or are you starting from an Excel sheet?
Everything gonna be pulled out from an Excel sheet.
Okay, so yeah, let's try it out. So the first thing we need to do is, if you have an Excel sheet like this, you can just export it as a CSV. You can do it in Excel as well. I'll just drop it off in my desktop here. I'll say, okay, cycle times. Okay, great. Now that that's been done in here, I'll open up the table. I'll create a new table, say cycle times. Let me open it up now. Cycle times. And are you familiar with this importing data from CSV file functionality in the tables?
If you don't mind, can you show me again?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so before I do that, we just need to make sure that the columns in the table match the ones that we have in our Excel sheet. So the ID here is matching, and that's referring to the product that you were talking about. And then here we have the target cycle time. So we'll just add another column. We'll make it interval, and then we'll say, okay, target cycle time. Okay, perfect. Now that we have these two, we can come in here and say, okay, import from CSV. And now if we go in here, we can say, okay, next, loading the importer. Go ahead and upload the data from the file. Go to the desktop, cycle time sheet. Just make sure that's the correct one. Yep. Open it up. And then just give it a second for it to process. So the first thing that it asks you says, okay, does this row contain column names? Yes, it does. And then here, Tulip automatically maps everything for you, so you can see, okay, this has been matched to the ID field, and this one is matched to the target cycle time field, because it basically looked at the columns from both the your Excel sheet and the Tulip table, and it matched them up. And then here we can ignore all of these because we're not interested. And just, these 5 columns were these 5 columns that didn't contain any information, so we can just ignore them. So then we go to review, boom, target cycle time, continue, ready to submit, yes. Just wait a second, 3 new records will be created because that's how many records we had, ABC. Next, and boom, there we have it. Now we have our table that was imported from Excel with the target cycle time. So that's the first thing that we want to do. So now that we have this, I'll create a new step in here. I'll say, okay, target cycle time. Okay, now that we have this, we'll also want to create a record placeholder to the table that we just created. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to select the table and I'm going to say cycle times, click add, and I'm going to add a record placeholder. Say, okay, current cycle time. Perfect. Create the record placeholder, and now we're ready to start building with it. So let's say we input a text. And I'm not sure, how are you selecting the product? Is it being scanned with a barcode or something?
So what we are thinking is we're gonna have a previous page scan a part telling the system which part we're processing, and then gonna jump to this page. So it's not only gonna record their actual cycle time, but also gonna tell us how many good part is passed, how many defects we reported. And so every time we press the button, either saying pass or defect, then the timer will just restart.
Okay. Yeah. So that's. Let me show you this way first, and then we'll see how we can restart the timer. There's various options for that, but the first, is it useful for you to learn how to bring in the cycle times from a table like this into the app?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then here at home I don't have a barcode scanner, so I'm just going to use an input widget, and then so we have the input widget here that has the variable cycle time ID tied to it. And then I'm going to say, okay, load cycle time. I'm going to have a button and say, okay, when the button is pressed, table records, load record by into current cycle time by ID. Then I'm going to select that variable cycle time ID. Here, instead of doing this, you would just do when the barcode scanner outputs at the station, then load it up by that output. And then we're just going to display the record to confirm that it was loaded up correctly. So cycle time. Okay. Now we can come into our app here. I'll open up this step and I'll say, okay, load up the cycle time. And here we can see, okay, we have the product A where the target cycle time is 10 seconds. So I think that's the first part of the demo, is kind of understanding how to go from target cycle time in your Excel sheet to having it within your Tulip app. Now that you have it within your Tulip app, you can say, okay, you can add a trigger on a timer. So we'll say, okay, when the timer fires every, let's say every minute, let's just say every 10 seconds, check cycle time. And then we'll add a new condition. We'll say, okay, if the table record, current cycle time, target cycle time is greater than or equal to the app info target cycle time for current step. And actually, I forgot to show you how to set this. Then we'll say, okay, show an error, static value, cycle time exceeded. Okay, I can save this. And then also add one if we are within. And of course, here I'm just showing an error message, but you could have it like you were describing. If you want to go to another step or something like that, you can easily do that in here and just add any trigger you want if it goes beyond the target cycle time. And then here, otherwise, we'll show a message. We'll just say static value within cycle time limit. And again, here is showing a message, but you can have any actions or transitions that you like. Let me just put this every 5 seconds just to make it a little bit faster. Great, we can save this. And then here, so the thing I forgot to show is how to set the cycle time for the step. So every step, if you see here, has a cycle time that you can set for the specific step. So we come in here and we'll just say, okay, I want to give this a cycle time of 46 seconds. And then here we'll have the target cycle time of, oh no, actually, you know what? Let me set this one here to 46 seconds. And this here, I was checking the wrong thing. I'm sorry. It was supposed to be time elapsed on current step. That's what we want to compare it to. So comparing the current cycle time, the target cycle time, if it's greater than the time elapsed on the current step, then show cycle time exceeded. Yep, that's correct. Okay, so now we're okay to save this. Let me just make it less than one of the other ones. Let me just restart the app here. So the timer is reset. We can go here. We'll say, okay, load up cycle time. Oh no, let's just do, sorry. Okay, I did it reverse. But now hopefully we'll see it change once we get to 20 seconds. I just did it the wrong way around. But now, yeah, here it is. So now you can see once we pass 20 seconds, we get the notification that we're within the cycle time, the correct cycle time. Sorry, that was kind of all over the place. That makes sense.
Yes, please for giving us the idea how to do it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. That's a really good question. Yeah, it's good. It covered a couple of things. Let us know if you have any questions when importing the data from the CSV file or using this trigger here to compare the times. But you know, I think it's this here is the most important trigger that we need to build out. And actually I did it reverse, so it should be this way around. This one here is the most important one to bear in mind. And what use case are you building this for, by the way?
So we're trying to make this app so we can compare the actual cycle time that the one operator produced in one part compare with what do we have the theoretical one on file, so they can track our productivity.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Yeah. Yeah. So this is a good way of doing it. You can then, are you already familiar with how to build analyses?
If you don't mind, you can show me all of them, making sure we're on the correct track.
Yeah, absolutely. So analyses are the only thing I need to do is add a complete button here in the app. So I'll just complete it a couple of times so we have some data around completions. So as you can see here, every time there's a completion, we're storing information on this. So you can see when it started, when it ended, the duration of the app, who was logged in, what station they were running at, and then all the variables. We can see what information was loaded up in them at the time of completion. So once you have that, you can come in here and create a new analysis. So here, there's lots of different types of analyses that you can create. So we won't get into all of them now because there's not enough time. But the sounds to me like you probably want to do something like this. You want to do the process cycle time by user. So right now, only I have completed this app. So we can see, okay, on average, it takes me 22 seconds to complete this this app. And if you want, we can just compare it by, let's say, hour of the day. Okay, I've only completed it at 4 p.m., so that's why only this is showing up. But as the time goes along, oh no, this is why. If I make it all time, oh no, it was all completed today. So as the time goes along, you'll see that you get the average automatically updated for the cycle time for the app. for whoever's logged in. So you can come in here, you can customize it any way you want. You can customize the date range if you want for a specific week, specific month, whatever it is, and you can add filters if you'd like. But analyses are pretty good, and I think based on what I'm understanding, to build what you're describing. So analyses for cycle times to understand when people are going beyond the target, so you can provide more training or whatever it is. Analyses are a really good part of the Tulip platform to use to do that.
Hey, Gio,
Yep.
have they made any changes that allow us to perform analyses on canceled completions?
You catch me a little bit. So what were there changes coming? I wasn't aware of any.
I recall the last time I tried to figure out if it was possible, it was not possible. And so I was wondering if that was something that got changed.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, it's still not possible. We can look into whether this is, did you speak with somebody from Tulip about including canceled completions in analyses or no?
No, I never submitted a feature request.
I think that would be good. If you can submit, I'll check actually, I mean, if you could submit it, that'd be great. But I'll also check with the team and see if that's something that is in the pipeline. To be honest, it doesn't sound familiar, but I'll check the product management team and then we'll get back to you.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing that you can do, I don't know, are you aware of them, like omitting them from analyses? There's like a checkbox in the completions.
Yes, but we have tens of thousands of completions, and that's prohibitive.
Okay, okay. So the other way that it can be done is if you want to have in your variable, just like a Boolean, include analyses, yes, no, and then filter on that in the analytics.
So if you go back to your completions table, the column that says canceled, it's a yes, it's a Boolean. You have like a 40-minute completion that was canceled.
Yeah.
What I want to do is I want to be able to run analyses on where that completion, that canceled Boolean is yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. I'm sorry. I'll be right back in just 30 seconds. Someone's at the door. Oh, terribly sorry about that. Okay, I see what you mean. Essentially, in here, you want the filter. You want to say, okay, if the field and you want to access canceled, yes, no in here.
That's correct. And it seems like that's already part of the analyses, and its default is set to cancel equals no.
Yep. Yeah, I would definitely recommend submitting a feature request because, like you say, hopefully it should be pretty simple. But yeah, so the way that I would do this now is you can put a trigger in like an overall, these app triggers here, and then just basically say, okay, if the app is completed, then store, let's say, whoops, we'll say static value, Boolean yes, we'll create a new variable, completed, perfect. And then otherwise, if it was canceled, we'll just data manipulation, store static value, Boolean no in location variable completed. And then once you have that, you can filter on that on the analyses.
So the analysis doesn't even look at any of the data if the app is canceled. So
yeah, correct. Oh,
we do have a Boolean that tracks whether or not the build was completed. And in order to force that Boolean to be filled, we need to rewrite all of our apps and remove the menu buttons. So there's no option for the user to restart or to change apps. they have to cancel the app by clicking the stop process button and going through that program flow.
Which would still add a completion.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, in that case, if you could submit a feature request, I think it would be really good because it's yeah, it's a really good idea. Like, yeah, I guess if now you guys already have many apps, it's a bit complicated because otherwise I was gonna say you could suggest, I would suggest like maybe using analyses on tables or something like that. But yeah, that's yeah, that's probably the best way to go is that.
Okay, thanks, Gio. Kayla,
Yeah.
you posted the product suggestions page. Is it better to post on the community or is it better to submit feature requests through the Jira tickets?
Yeah, so our product manager, who kind of, owns feature requests and things like that and triages them all, monitors the product suggestions pretty regularly.
Okay.
So either's fine.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Product suggestions is usually pretty good though, because considering he kind of owns that world, he usually asks pretty valuable follow-up questions and stuff to get good like use case information and stuff like that.
All right, we'll do.
Yeah, awesome. And for those who aren't familiar, so we have a community that's I recommend you should have received an invite when you got your Tulip account. But essentially, there's you can see here there's conversations about, like, for example, the competition that I was mentioning earlier. It's held within the community, but also if you have specific questions or things you want to share or get feedback on something, we do most of these things through the community. So if, for example, support and troubleshooting, like somebody, I don't know, like, oh, this was pretty interesting. Somebody is, last month, we released Tulip Vision to essentially allow off-the-shelf cameras to, recognize things in your shop floor, and then you can build apps on top of that, again, in the same platform that you're used to, but using vision systems. So somebody was asking, okay, I have flow rack management using vision, and they want to identify the boxes as they flow through the rack. And then like Haley was mentioning, our engineering team tracks community pretty closely, so they can come in here and see and interact and get more information on the use case and ask follow-up questions. So if you guys haven't spent time in community, I highly recommend going through and just taking a look at what other people are posting and then ask questions if you have them in there. Okay, cool. Are there any other questions that folks had that we can cover? Things that people have been building that they want to share? Or anything that you'd like us to cover next week? We can. This time is really intended to yeah. If you guys want to learn something about Tulip, we can put together a little demo or something like that. So yeah, let us know. Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, I will ask. So like I said, the office hours program started I guess a handful of weeks ago now, and we're always improving it. So let me see here. We had made a office. We had made a little survey. So if you guys wouldn't mind just taking 5 minutes now and going through, if you have community accounts, and just submitting your just some feedback here on these office hours, what you enjoyed about them, what you think we can improve, or what you'd be interested in learning more about. That would be really useful. Okay, awesome. Yeah, if there's anything else, we'll be here. If not, we'll see everybody next week.
Thanks, Gio.
Thanks, Gio.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.